Hi, I'm Marc. I'm the spiritual advisor for Marc Healing Arts. Welcome to Marc Talks. Today's topic, we'll talk about dream interpretation, how to interpret your dreams. But let's first go into what's going on with the dream itself. Like, how do we dream? Do we ever question that on how we dream? Well, scientists will say, it comes mainly from the brain or all of it from the brain. But let's get on to, let's like shift it around a little bit and let's talk about more about, does it really just only come from the brain? I'm not here to diagnose how the brain works, but, from my own experiences, I've learned through astral projection, leaving the body, freely, and this is way before I fall asleep. I'm totally aware of being here, but then going to the other side. But let's go more into talking about with the dreams. How does it really work? Well, it does come from the brain, but also you are in the spiritual realms. And I think that, so it's two. But it starts off with the brain first. All of these thoughts we have that we think about every day, it accumulates in the brain because the brain has this memory of remembering stuff. But now, what do we do with this? We're having dreams and we're saying, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? Does it even have a meaning to it? Well, it does have a meaning to it, to answer that question. But the thing is, when we're having this in our minds and we're wondering, like, what is going on? Why does this keep on happening? And I keep on having weird dreams. Well, we're going to go into dream interpretation on how things are really interpreted. But I want you to first understand the concept of it. It does come from the brain first, but your spirit itself, part of your spirit, is on the other side, and you are really experiencing it. It's called evolvement and growing. You are always growing. When you are in the wake state, you're growing. In the dream state, you're growing. And even when you have the transition to pass over, you're growing. You never stop learning. So when we think our dreams are silly or makes no sense, or what does this mean? Well, everything has a meaning. Everything has a meaning of a purpose. So let's go right into how to interpret the dreams. First, you may have a dream of water, and then, you say, what does water represent in my dream? Water represents a dream about emotions. So again, water represents emotions in spirituality. What happens if you dream of the sky? The sky represents your mind, how you're feeling. And I'm going to go further into it, but I want to break down little things when you do see things in your dream on how to interpret it, and then I'll put it all together for you. Okay? So what happens if you dream of things shaking, like an earthquake, and you're scared, oh my God, the whole earth is shaking, and you don't know what to do. And you're like freaking out, and you go like, what's happening here? And then, but when you're dreaming like that, it means everything's off tilted, everything's off balance. You can't get your balance, you're not grounded. So the first thing you would think in your mind, well, after I share this with you, that I'm going to right at this moment, that you may want to say to yourself, I better start meditating or get myself more grounded, because my mind's telling me, even in an unconscious level, it's telling me that I wasn't aware of, wow, my life is really off tilted, off balance, and how do I get myself balanced? Now, of course, you can have fires and destruction, you know, but fire represents dealing with anger. It also deals with things have been taken away, like if you have a fire, like God forbid, in your house. A tornado is even violent itself in a dream. It represents of losing everything. Fire doesn't always represent to lose everything, but fire is more about anger. So keep that in mind. Fire is like an anger thing, like you're like, oh, revved up. Imagine your face turning all red and you have these fumes coming out of your head, and you're about to blow like a volcano. But think of the fire as anger. Now, think of, and I really like to break all this down because people have had dreams of tornadoes and fires. And tornado represents a loss. And it doesn't always have to be a financial thing. It could have been a loss of a family, friend, your partner. It could be so many other things. So that's a little bit of the breakdown. The principle of how you kind of can interpret it. I'm trying to put a little thing for you, like push that now to the side. Now, let me go even into it deeper, that I think you'll find this very interesting. What happens if you dream that you're on a boat? Right? You're on a boat. And the sea is kind of rocky. But you're on the boat. Well, right away, if you're on the boat and the water represents emotions, you're on top of your emotions. But because the boat is rocking because of the water, things are still rocky and emotionally that you need to work out. Is the boat going forward or is it going backwards? If it's going forward, that means you're working through the emotions if it's going forward. But if it's going backwards, even though you are on top of your emotions, but if it's going backwards, you feel like you're not getting anywhere with the emotions. It feels like it's going backwards. It's not improving. It's very shaky. Now, what happens if you had a dream that also you saw on the boat was a loved one? Sometimes we take as a dream interpretation, and we saw the person drown. That doesn't mean literally they're gonna drown, but it could be you're so emotionally attached to them, of course, but they're drowning in their own emotions and you feel bad for them. It doesn't mean that they're gonna die from drowning. So sometimes what happens with dream interpretations, people assume just because they see a death, they assume it's a death, that someone's gonna die. I mean, it could happen, I'm not gonna say that, but overall, it goes more into what's going on in your life, what your brain picks up, understands, and relates, and then it puts it to use. Now, with dream interpretation, you're dealing with, how about, we're not going to get too much into this because I don't want to confuse the subject, but lucid dreaming, remembering your dreams, your unconscious mind opens up to the conscious, and now you're aware you're dreaming. But that takes training, that takes time. And then you'll actually experience more in awareness on the astral or the spiritual realms that you're really there and this is part of your dream, but you're dreaming. And that's a wonderful experience you could go into. But that's another topic I'll get into because it could get very confusing, okay? But now, what happens if you have a dream of being in a house with your family and the tornado, and even though you're in the house, the tornado didn't touch it, but you heard the disturbances of it. So outside of the environment, even though you're in the house with your family, outside the environment with a tornado is spinning and you know it's still active, there's a lot of losses that you have lost on the outside. It could have been a loss of a job, loss of a friend. But now, if your whole house got destroyed, then it's like you lost your domain, your paradise, however you want to call it, a place where you live. Your own territory has been invaded. It's gone. You've lost it. Sometimes people will tell me, well, I have dreams of I actually died in the tornado. What does that mean? It's almost like, and the tornado swept you up and you saw yourself dying. I mean, that would be a terrible dream. But what does that mean? It means that it's like you lost everything and even yourself. It doesn't always have to be property. It could be yourself. You lost yourself. Totally. If you see yourself going into a tornado and you're going up into the sky, you lost yourself. That doesn't mean you're going to die from a tornado. So keep that in mind when you do have the dreams, that sometimes you may think it's one thing, then it'll mean another. Now, dreams could get very deep, very deep. It could get into things that make no sense at all. But you can have spiritual dreams, like I had a dream. I was sitting on the curb and the sky was talking to me. And that, of course, because of channeling, I found out that was God actually talking to me. I saw angels. I saw gnomes on the other side. How do you interpret that? You interpret that you actually are experiencing what you normally would experience if you actually on the other side, if you trans over. So all those things that you're seeing are really happening like you would. Now, what does that mean? It means in your dream, even though it's a spiritual dream, it means the interpretation, not only are you aware of the spirituality, what it does exist in the realms, but also dealing with you have that connection, that bond with them. You see what I mean? So even though you're experiencing it, and you have the awareness of having this, or you may not, you may just question it, but you may have the awareness or not, but that's like a spiritual dream. I sit on the curb and God's talking to me. I hear a voice, but I see no man. Or I see gnomes, I see angels with wings. What does that mean? That means I'm very connected to the spiritual side of me. And I'm very open. Also saying that they're there for me as well. See how you interpret it now? See what's going on with it? You understand what I said about with the boat before. But look at it. So I'm trying to break things down from a regular dream you're going to have with that. And then there's a spiritual dream. Interpret that. Right? Now what happens if you have a dream that makes no sense at all? No sense at all. What do you do with that? Well, okay, let's take an example. You could have a dream of you could be in a clothing store buying clothes, and before you know it, you're at a lunch place eating lunch, and you're saying, "Wait a minute, I was just at a clothing store. Why am I now in a place where I'm eating lunch?" Or you could be at a job that you're not supposed to be at, and then before you know it, you're hugging a woman that you don't even know. It can be so crisscross. And what's happening here with the mind is the mind is so overwhelmed that it's trying to break everything down, that things get scattered. But there is an interpretation for that. You may not think so, but there's an interpretation for that. When you're crisscrossing in the dream, interpretation of your dreams, it represents, let's put it this way, let's take what I just told you, right? You're going into the clothing store, you're buying clothes. Now you put clothes on, it represents yourself on how you represent other people. When you were in a clothing store, if you can remember this, was it a nice clothing store, or was it one of those thrift shops that people donate clothes and then they sell to you that aren't as nice? Not saying that all of them are not nice, but some of them are not, because they're hand-me-downs. So when it shows, that means you represent yourself not in a higher class kind of a way, or higher level kind of a way. So you're wearing clothes that are not so great looking on you. But if you wear clothes that are classy and looking good, well, that represents you feel good about yourself, self-esteem's up, you feel good, right? Then all of a sudden now you're shifting over, you're eating something, and you say, what does clothing have to do with eating? Well, it has a lot to do with it, because look at the connection here. You understand what the clothing means, it represents you. Now you're going to a place now you're eating, and you're saying, what does eating have to do with it? Well, eating has a lot to do with it, because you're taking things in. Are you eating your food too fast? You take things in too quickly? Taking things too harsh? Or you're taking it the wrong way? Are you eating something that's nutritious and healthy for you, that because your food is your medicine, that you can feel good about yourself? And you're eating slowly and healthy. See what I mean? But it depends what you're eating as well. And are you eating it really fast? But if you're eating too much food, that means you're taking too much in emotionally. Too little food, that means you could be in denial of rejecting yourself and saying, nah, I don't think I deserve that. I'm starving. I don't, nothing's wrong. So there's a difference between taking too much in, too much food, not enough food, starving yourself. You could be in denial, like, everything's okay. I don't want to know. Everything's okay. So there's so many different ways of breaking it down. But you see what I'm saying? One represents how you look, and the other represents on how you're dealing with the emotional aspect of how you feel. Are you taking the mental thoughts in too much from other people, yourself? You're taking it all in. Just like you could do that with a drink too. The drink can go into the spirituality of the emotion, but also if you're taking too much in, it could also be a food substance. The food represents, it's a weight. So you're taking things really in with the food. With the water or alcohol or whatever it is, you're drowning it if you're drinking too much of it. Drinking too much of it, drowning. Not enough, you could be dehydrating. And that means if you're dehydrating, that means everything's starting to almost like decay. It's like you need liquid in your body. So everything's starting to freeze up. So you feel restricted in your life. Everything's tight. Food is you're taking too much in, solid, heavy stuff coming in. Not enough, you're in denial. So that kind of breaks that down. So I hope that clears things up for you today. I also do dream interpretations in my sessions. If you'd like to schedule one, you could always email me. I can help you with that, because dreams do mean things, and dreams can go through your whole life of helping you through your journey. And you may not know it, but it's the messages not only from your brain and being the astros or the spiritual realms, but also it's from the angels, guides, and loved ones communicating with you by helping you on your journey as well. So keep in mind, everything has a meaning behind it, and there's a reason why you do dream. And some people may say to me, I don't remember my dreams. You do dream. You need to meditate, open yourself up, and then you'll start dreaming again. So I hope that helped everyone today, and I hope you enjoyed this on how to interpret your dreams. And remember, don't get analytical with it, but enjoy your dreams and knowing you're getting messages and there's a reason for each dream that you have. I'm Marc, the spiritual advisor from Marc Healing Arts, and this is Marc Talks. And take care of yourself. Enjoy your dreams to the fullest. Blessings and love to all. Take care for now. Bye.